going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin with Jake. I hope we're all doing well. So, today's a very tough day. The Knicks lose in 7. They were up 2-0, and then they were up 3-2, and they lose in 7. You lose 116 to 103 in Game 7. You also lost of course, in Game 6 as well. You lost 116 103 in Game 6. You lose 130 to 109 in Game 7. This is the typical freaking Knicks luck. Every year something happens. I mean, they're obviously bad for so long, and every year bad luck happens to them. This organization is just cursed. Absolutely cursed. Just, I cannot believe they lost that series. That being said, they had a ton of injuries. Julius Randle, who to me is very overhated. I know he's had his struggles in the playoffs, but the first year in 2021, that team was not very good. They had nothing around them. 2 years ago, or not 2 years ago, last year he was playing hurt. He missed the last 2 weeks. The knee injury kind of came back to real. But he did his best. Obviously, you lose Bojan Bogdanovic, who's a key bench piece. During the playoffs, also in the first round against Philly. Mitchell Robinson, who got screwed because freaking that scumbag known as Joel Embiid grabbed his leg and injured him. He was already recently coming off a knee injury, and he had to have surgery again, so he missed the entire second round. That was really their only other big outside of Chris Achua off the bench. And of course, Knicks take Game 1, and OG Anunoby in Game 2 is having this phenomenal game. He had 28 points. They kept the Knicks in the game after Brunson went down briefly in the first half with the foot injury. And then, late in the third quarter, Knicks had gotten back into the game, and all of a sudden he pulls his hamstring and then missing the rest of the series. He missed the rest of Game 2, missed Game 3 through 6. He tried to play Game 7. He started the game. 5 minutes later, tips took him out. He clearly he couldn't go. Most things were, he wasn't healthy. I think he wanted to try. He probably made a deal with Tibbs in the next all right, go out there and try. But if you look just absolutely awful and you can't get up and down the court, we're gonna take you out. And I guess he agreed, and he did what he could. If he's injured, he's injured. Obviously, Josh Hart was playing through an abdominal injury, which is very tough. The abdominal rib area. It's one of those things that was the regular season. He probably sit out for a week or two. He probably sit out at least a few games. OG Anunoby's a thing. He came out in Game 2, so he only missed like a week with the injury. One of those things he probably missed 2 or 3 weeks in the regular season, but he tried to give it a go. There's only so much you can do with 6 players. And the Knicks were actually getting started. Actually, they got down big in that first half. They were down 15 at the half. At one point, they were down like 20 or 21 or 22 at one point in the first half. They pulled within 8 at one point in the third quarter. Then Brunson goes down. He breaks his hand. So, I think for Knicks were hell, but they was definitely one of the series. I had them in 6 games for a reason. I mean, look, in Game 3, it was 106, under 20, 30 seconds in the game, and Aaron Nemhart had a freaking prayer from the heavens to end up winning that game. Just Game 4, you got 6 guys in the lineup, you get blown out. You go out and you win by 30 in Game 5. But Game 6, look, they had nobody. Josh Hart gets hurt in Game 6. And once he goes down, you have one bench player. Precious Achua is your only bench player. So you now you have Chris Achua going to the lineup. You're playing. You got 2 bigs in there who can't really stretch the floor. Alec Burks, who was like 35 years old, is your only bench piece. And in Game 7, you didn't have OG Anunoby besides the first 5 minutes. You did. Josh Hart's playing hurt. Brunson goes down in the third quarter. Dante got nicked up. You're back to your only bench pieces are Precious Achua, who had to play a little more than he probably should have because Josh Hart wasn't 100%. Hart had to play 48 minutes like 4 or 5 times in the series. OG Anunoby's hurt. All these guys are hurt. You did what you could. Indiana's a very good team. Tyrese Haliburton's a great player. Siakam's really good. Miles Turner, Nemhard is a talented young player. TJ McConnell's a good little player to have on your bench. He's very underrated. But you did what you could. It's disappointing, but still, they were dealing with it. And they dealt with it in the regular season as well. Julius Randle was hurt by like the middle of the season. He got hurt in that random game against the Miami Heat. Obviously, you had a lot of player movement throughout the year. You made the trade. You trade RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly for OG Anunoby, who was 26-5 when he was in the lineup with the Knicks and played phenomenally. And I hope they re-sign him to a max contract in the offseason. But at the same time, missed a lot of time with injuries. Obviously, RJ and IQ were in Toronto. Then you trade Quentin Grimes along with a couple of other bench fillers. It was Ryan Diakomo, and then they threw in the guy Svai Mekahalik and a pick to Detroit for Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. So you didn't have Grimes anymore. Which, again, I don't mind. He's not very good. Not the player that we thought he was going to be. Bogdanovic comes here. He gets hurt, comes back, then gets hurt again in the playoffs. Alec Burks, I mean, he just didn't play well in the regular season, though did play well in this series. He didn't play well in the regular season. He fell out of the rotation, didn't play really only even like a single minute in the first round, maybe in like garbage time. But he was only playing because they had to in the second round, and actually played well. I think he had 14. He came in for like a few seconds in game 2. I think he had 14 points in game 3, like 20 in game 4. He had 18 in game 5. Didn't do a whole lot in game 6, but he had, I think, 26 in game 7. It's actually their second leading scorer besides Duncan DiVincenzo. Actually, he had 39 on 9 threes in game 7. This gets overshadowed. They lost by 13, and Brunson got hurt. And OG Anunoby we thought was going to play, and he wasn't able to go. And Josh Hart was clearly playing hurt. Hartenstein didn't play his best game, and just look, they did what you could, despite not having Julius Randle. Why I think he's overhated. Yes, he's not a good defender, and in the past he's had some attitude problems. First of all, he quieted those attitude problems. There was never an issue with him. He finally stopped just chucking up threes left and right this year. He was much more consistent. He was averaging 25 and 9 in the regular season before he got hurt. Like I said, the first 2021, first time in the playoffs. First of all, it was his first time being a top player on a team in the playoffs. That team was so bad. Like, there's a reason Tom Thibodeau won head coach of the year over Monty Williams that year in Phoenix. Outside of Randall, who's not number one option, what's your number one option? You had Alec Burks, Reggie Bullock, Elfrid Payton. You had like a second-year Mitchell Robinson, a rookie Emmanuel quickly as your best bench piece. You go up against a good Atlanta Hawks team. Like everyone thought, because Tibbs and their best defensive team in the league. They didn't think about, all right, you have Assassin and Trae Young on the other end. You have a team that's deeper, a little more experienced. Just as well coached that year, at least, by Nick McMillan. Also, fell off very quickly with him. And then you had, last year, he was playing her. He was not 100%, it was clear. And that team, no one played well. Outside of Jalen Brunson, Randall didn't play well, quickly didn't play well. Then he got hurt at the end of the Miami series. Grimes didn't play well. He got nicked up in the Miami series. Nobody showed up. Mitchell Robinson looked horrible in that series. No one really did much of anything. Outside of Brunson and sort of Josh Hart on and off last year. So when your whole starting lineup is out, it's hard. By the end of the third quarter, you were running what? Deuce McBride, Alec Burks, Josh Hart with a possible abdominal tear in his abdomen. You had Precious Achiuwa and Isaiah Hartenstein. Those are your only 5 healthy players. Also, Indiana shot 67% from the field. That's a record for a playoff game for a team. Like, it's not even like the Knicks were playing bad defense. Like when you got Haliburton out there hitting every 3, and Siakam's hitting all the shots, and every single player is having career nights. Like, there's not much you can do defensively. I mean, the difference between what happened in game 4 to what happened in game 7. In game 4, Knicks was leaving guys open. Game 7, not really. Like the guy they just played the best game of the season in the biggest game of the season. They stepped up to the occasion. So kudos to all those guys, Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner and Aaron Nemhart and all those guys. TJ McConnell, Coach Rick Carlisle is a good coach. All of them. Kudos to them. Knicks did the best they could. They dealt with injuries all year. Randall missed half the year, and no one missed a lot of time after he got here. Bogdanovic missed time after he got here. Brunson even missed a few games. DiVincenzo missed a few games here and there. Hartenstein missed a few games, and in the playoffs, you're down to 7 players by the start of the second round, and you were down to like 5 players by the end of the series. Like I said, once Brunson went down, with Anunoby already out with Anunoby not able to go, and Hart playing hurt, like I said, you had your lineup was Deuce McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart playing through an abdominal tear, Prestachu and Isaiah Hart. So those are the only 5 players that you had. Who's the best player there? Is it Dante DiVincenzo? Dante had the career game, 39 points and 9 threes, but realistically, the best player there is what? Josh Hart. Josh Hart's a really good player, but he's one of the best role players in the league, but it's not a star by any means. Like you could argue all 5, those guys, can't stretch the floor consistently. A lot probably should be outside of Hart and Son, all of them should be coming off the bench. Like the Knicks got screwed by injuries. It is what it is, but congrats to the Indiana Pacers, and finally the Knicks have a foundation. Just 2 years ago they had been absolutely atrocious for 20+ years. You got lucky in 2021 with a really weak East and a shortened season because of the pandemic. You snuck into the top 5 of the playoffs and you lost in the first round, obviously, to Atlanta in 5 games. Then came back down to earth the following year. They didn't do enough in the offseason, but then last year had a good year, won 47 games, won the 5 seed in the East. You won a playoff series and lost to Miami in the second round. And this year, despite dealing with a zillion injuries, a lot of player movement, still won 50 games with the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference. But just injuries killed them and they were losing to some in the second round. If they were healthy. Also, first of all, if Nembhard doesn't hit that prayer in Game 3, I think Knicks win that game, and you win the series in 5 games with all these injuries. You would have been in the Eastern Conference Finals, which was the goal this year. So, it's what it is, but they finally have a foundation. You have a star in Jalen Brunson. He averaged, 34, 35 in this playoff, like 5 40-point games. You got some nice role players from DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, all these guys. If they reach OG Anunoby, which I think they'll definitely do. What I'm hearing is going to be tough to reach sign Hartenstein. Apparently, they can only give him like $17 million a year. Still might give him 20, but I'm hoping they can find a way to re-sign him, and then they can beef up their bench. They'll be in good shape. They have a couple first-round picks this year, so they're finally in a somewhat decent spot for the first time in probably 25 years. But Indiana moves on to the Eastern Conference Finals to play the Boston Celtics, and the Minnesota Timberwolves defeat the Denver Nuggets 98-90. Of course, in Game 6, they won by 45, and then they went 98-90. They were down 21 point. The 20-point comeback is it's the first time in the Timberwolves franchise history they've come back in the playoffs down by 20 points, and 20 points is the largest deficit the NBA team has ever come back from in a Game 7 ever. 98-90, and that's with Anthony Edwards shooting 6 of 24, 23 and 12 from town, 34, 19 and 7 in the loss for Jokic. Minnesota Timberwolves come back and win this game. And they move on to the Western Conference Finals to play the Dallas Mavericks. But what an incredible series that was. Great Game 7. Minnesota killed Denver on the board at the end of that game, and they come back and win. And kudos to Nikola Jokic for showing class after the game, saying, they were the better team, and they beat us, Part of them might be like, I can go off my horses at least. All series, it was a very classy end there. Nikola Jokic, but Conference Finals will be on the East side, which starts tonight. Indiana Pacers against the Boston Celtics. On the West side, it will be the Dallas Mavericks against the Minnesota Timberwolves. On the East, I'm going to take Boston in 6. And the Indiana in the first round, yes, they beat the Bucks in 6, but they also didn't have Giannis the whole series and Dame for 2 games. Yes, they beat the Knicks in 7. The Knicks also were depleted by injuries. So I think if Boston doesn't have Porzingis for now, but they still have a great team with Jason Tatum, who's a stud. Jalen Brown's a really good player. Drew Holiday's a really good player. Derek White's a good player. You still have some decent depth. So I think they're going to get overmatched in this series, assuming Boston stays healthy. But don't be surprised if Indiana pulls off an upset. That's a really good team. Halliburton's such a stud at point guard. He showed off his scoring ability and shooting ability in this series against the New York Knicks. Obviously, we know what he can do when it comes to his court vision and passing the basketball. Pascal Siakam's a great player. Miles Turner, PJ McConnell. This is a really good young team that, was probably a little better than people thought. Again, would they be in the conference finals without injuries? I don't think they would. They would be, personally. You can call me biased, call me whatever you want. That's my opinion. Still a very good basketball team, and I still don't trust Boston. Something about them. Every year they seem to do this. You saw the stats, their 6th conference finals appearance in 8 years. If you weren't like a true basketball fan, you'd be like, they have to have at least 1 or 2 champions, right? No. Yeah, they've actually only been to the finals once. They lost, and then he ended up losing to Golden State a couple of years ago. So, but I'll say Boston and 6. I think they'll just overpower Indiana. Indiana, they're not very good defensively. I don't know how they'll be able to stop Boston. That being said, Boston's weakness is if a team that can just hit threes relentlessly like they can, a team that can match them when it comes to their 3-point shooting. Indiana can do that, so I think that should be a very good series. So I'll say Boston in 6, and then Minnesota and Dallas. I'm gonna say Minnesota in 6. I'm giving Dallas the benefit of the doubt. Luka, he's been a little on and off at time, but overall when he's been on, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Kyrie overall has played great. Derek Lively's been playing well. Gafford, so you have a decent amount of size, obviously with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. You also have PJ Washington over there, but still, Minnesota is so good defensively. They still have a size advantage. They're rolling right now. Anthony Edwards is still the best player in the series. They're still the best player in the series than Anthony Edwards. I think there are better basketball teams. I think both series go 6 games. I think we'll see Boston, Minnesota in the NBA Finals. Only other thing I want to talk about in the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-1 in Game 6 to keep that series going. And Game 7 tonight, Vancouver's going to be without their top goal scorer, though. Brock Besser has a blood clot issue. Thankfully, it's not life-threatening, so he's going to be okay. But he will not play in Game 7 and will most likely miss the rest of the playoffs. So it's a big loss for the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll see. Will the Edmonton Oilers advance to the conference finals? Obviously, they went back to Stuart Skinner in Game 6, which seemed to work as they won by 4 goals and he only let up 1 goal. Or will this crazy story of Arturas Solobas, whatever his name is, he's stepped in for Inter Demko, help them advance to the conference finals. Of course, the East Conference Finals already set. New York Rangers are throwing paper, starts on Wednesday, and the winner of this series will probably be Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Finals. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.